quick RVS 750, and that's a factory 4-stroke 750, much quicker than the old RC30 750. So Hislop with the pink helmet manoeuvring into line. So 4 riders only on the front row. Cole Fogarty is a spectator. There you can see the intermediate tyre that Hislop had chosen, but it does appear to be a depleted field. Maybe 1 or 2 other riders have opted not to go, but the lights go to green, and a meteoric start by Jamie Whittam, number 6, down to Old Hall. Ray Stringer, number 17, slotting through on the inside, up into second place, and going wide around the outside was the only Norton in the race. The number 25 bike ridden by Jim Moody, and that's looking good. But Whittam, look at that. Whittam already 20 bike lengths ahead, but there's a long way to go. 12 laps the full race distance. Number 6, Jamie Whittam leads. And number 7, closing very hard, David Jeffries, in his second full season in the 750cc class. David Jeffries, from the very famous racing motorcycle family from Shipley. Number 7, Jeffries then, big man, sits very well on the bike indeed. Whittam leads, so 2 Yorkshiremen out in front. That's Ray Stringer in 3rd. Now let's take a look at the start. This is looking backwards from Brian Morrison's Kawasaki, the number 5 Kawasaki of Brian Morrison. Morrison now privateer, making his way through the field. There's David Jeffries, so Morrison got away from Jeffries at the start, but somewhere further on, there's Hislop coming into shot. Steve Hislop, number 11. Morrison had a flying start, but he's not in the first 5 at this moment in time.
There you can see Jamie Whittam. He appears to have made a very aggressive start. He looked on the warm-up lap that looked like he was going to do this. David Jeffries on number 7, Ray Stringer approaching on bike 17. There's Robert Dunlop on the Ducati, and Brian Morrison on number 5, bike number 5, but they're all going very gingerly around there. The thing that I wanted to point out was that Rob McElnay on bike number 2, who was the pole position man, got a very bad start indeed.
Race leader Jamie Whittam, the 26-year-old from Huddersfield, who has had a tremendous start to the 1993 season. Jamie Whittam has had 5 wins from 6 starts in national championship races this year, and looking very keen on making this his 6th win from 7 starts. Number 17, Ray Stringer. Then the number 3 of Robert Dunlop. The number 28 bike going through, Rob Holden, the New Zealander. Supercup for the first time in 93 is an international series, which does, provided they can afford the fare, throw it wide open to the Continentals and indeed riders from anywhere in the world. Race leader still Whittam. There you have the top 6. So Rob Holden, the New Zealander, just ahead of Brian Morrison on the Kawasaki. So 2 Kawasaki's in the top 6. Ray Stringer in 3rd place is one of them. Number 7, the 2nd place man, David Jeffries. A tremendous ride by Jeffries, but Roger, you and I were looking earlier. He is indeed a big lad, isn't he?
He is, but he's got a lot of potential, a lot of talent. It's difficult for you sat at home, the viewer, to imagine how difficult it is for these riders on these absolutely monstrous machines. One touch of the throttle, and the throttle's operated by the right hand there, and you can see Whittam blipping the throttle down as he comes down to Lodge Corner. One false move with that throttle will spin the back wheel and cause the rider to fall off.
Especially in these conditions, of course. The straight, it's not so much a straight as a very sweeping left-hander. Jamie Whittam down to Old Hall again, having completed another lap. Race leader Whittam looking very polished indeed. Teammate Rob McElnay, the number 2 bike, who was leading the first race, is now down in 10th, or rather was pushing hard. Wide, enormous gap between those 2, and now Robert Dunlop, the number 3 Ducati pilot, is right ahead. McElnay is now charging hard. So McElnay has really acquitted himself well on that lap. Jeffries piling on the coals. McElnay has gone past Robert Dunlop, number 3. So number 2, Rob McElnay, is now well ahead of that chasing bunch and has got a clear road ahead of him. The number 3 Ducati rider, Robert Dunlop, riding that machine in the Isle of Man TT. He also had another Ducati flown in specially from Malaysia, arrived here at the circuit just this morning. Race leader going out of sight. This is the second place man, David Jeffries. Rob McElnay now closing the number 2 rider in third. The number 3 bike is in fourth, that's Robert Dunlop. Then Holden, the New Zealander. Ray Stringer slipping down the order. Morrison, there's Hislop. And the rest of the field stringing through. Jim Moody slipping down on the Norton now. Moody's had a good season so far, but not really on the pace today.
No, it is a difficult bike to ride, the rotary engine Norton, though. When you close the throttle on that bike, it doesn't have any engine braking at all, so the rider has to do all the braking with the brakes on the bike, and it's particularly tricky, and it may be the first time that he's ridden it in these difficult conditions as he's come up into the 750 class this year.
McElnay pressing hard now. Ahead of him, the number 7, David Jeffries, but the third place man. So the Yamaha teammates are in first and third in their new livery this year, and that says it all. Rob McElnay really on the pace, 142.65. The lap record incidentally held here by Haslam in ideal conditions in 135.01. So we're not expecting the riders to get anywhere near that record so long as the track is in this very sort of halfway house state. Not quite damp, not dry, but there's also a lot of side wind. Roger, will the wind be a problem here?
Well, I don't think so today. The advantage of the wind today, it will dry the track, which has got to be in everybody's interest. But Rob McElnay acquitting himself extremely well. He was down in 20th place on the first lap. He's now in third place, and it's my bet that it won't be many more laps before he's caught David Jeffries in second spot. He'll be looking to secure second spot. I think the chances of him catching James Whittam during the course of this race are pretty nil.
Steve Hislop, number 11, and this is the man who was right on Carl Fogarty's exhaust pipe before the restart when Fogarty threw it all away. Steve Hislop rocketing his way through the trees.
And that was the exit from Druids Corner, now coming down to Lodge Corner, which you saw the front wheel lift slightly there. The camera went high. This is a second gear right-hand turn. The camber drops away coming out of it, so the rider has to apply the power more gently up through Deers Leap and over the start and finish now. There he is, Steve Hislop, bike number 11, into Lodge Corner now, knees skimming the tarmac, and you can see Robert Dunlop ahead of him now, and this is a particularly tricky point on the course. There he is, number 11, Steve Hislop, riding extremely well, a 9 times TT winner. It looks to me like he's catching Robert Dunlop. The track's obviously drying, and the strong riders and the strong, faster machines are able now to make up ground.
Well, the number 11 Hislop is on the very, very rapid factory Honda, the RVF, which is a fairly awesome machine, delivers an enormous amount of horsepower. Having said that, the Ducati under Robert Dunlop, who's only 5 feet 4 and weighs just about 9 stone, so the power to weight ratio on the number 3 bike makes that a very competitive package indeed. And it's getting away from the Honda. You can see the Ducati just creeping away from Steve Hislop, who's trying with all his might to pile on the coals. He's going to have to do it on the brakes on the inside, but no way through. Hislop then still settling as they go up the hill, shadowing Robert Dunlop, and you can see there Hislop is in 5th place. Dunlop then, this is the battle for 4th and 5th, and closing now on the back of them, Ray Stringer from Stoke Golding. Stringer, who had the biggest part of last season out through injury, is back with a bang. Hislop going through on the inside, hard on the brakes, Robert Dunlop, but diving through 9 times TT winner Steve Hislop, who is really adapting. Having said that, he was very good in the 250cc Supercup. I was about to say adapting to the short circuits. Hislop seems very much at home whatever the circuit.
Hislop has surprised everybody this year with his riding, and this is a man that's surprised nobody, and that's Whittam on bike number 6, and this is my predicted battle, and that's between Jeffries and McElnay. McElnay appears to have nearly caught onto the back of him now, and won't be long before McElnay's challenging him. He's got plenty of the race left in which to pass him and take that second spot, and my bet is that he'll be waiting until he's quite confident that the track is fully dry. There you have his fastest lap, 1:38.15, compared with his pole position time of 1:35, so some 3 seconds off his pole position time, which is mainly due to the track conditions.
Well, what you see here really is an out-and-out competition between a very young, talented youngster and, with the best will in the world, Rob McElnay at 33 years of age has to be in the twilight of his motorcycle racing career, and I dare say he's riding as well now as he has done in many a year. 5 years of Grand Prix experience, Rob McElnay, former Super Cup champion, former Superbike competitor, against the very talented David Jeffries, the number 7 rider. So 13 years the difference in ages between these two men. They're both big, burly, stocky riders. They need a 750cc motorcycle to drag them along, and certainly Jeffries riding with all the maturity that he has. His brothers, of course, very famous motorcyclists in their own right, as indeed, or father should I say, and Uncle Nick. So David Jeffries, number 7, trying all he knows to keep Rob McElnay at bay. And they're closing just a little bit on the number 6, Jamie Whittam. We saw McElnay going through into second. McElnay then up into second. So the Yamaha teammates, Whittam and Rob McElnay, are in first and second place respectively. This could allow David Jeffries to drop back in the clutches of Steve Hislop, riding number 11, who's pushing hard in 4th.
What's really exciting is that this man, James Whittam, bike number 6, who's leading, is being caught by McElnay at an astounding rate. McElnay's pulled 3 seconds back on Whittam in 2 laps, and unless Whittam has got a pit board telling him in the pits that McElnay's on the charge, he's going to be caught with his trousers down, so to speak. Here we are on camera with James Whittam, and this is Druids Corner, a double apex bend. You can see the bike dropping away there. The rev count revs are going up. Now down the gearbox, down to 2nd gear from 6th gear. James Whittam pulling the bike over, heeling it over into that right-hand bend. Back up now. The little display there you can see is the temperature, reading the temperature of the engine, which is very important to maintain a certain amount of consistency. Whittam there exited Hold Hall Corner, coming down the avenue down to Cascades. A very blind corner this. There you can see it. It's a fast right flick and then heeling over into a left-hander. Now down and back onto the straight, and looking at the monitor there, McElnay lapped at an average of the same speed that time as Whittam, so that's the gap, 3.7 seconds. Let's see if McElnay can do anything about it.
Whittam could well be a wild card entry for the 500cc Grand Prix at Donington Park later in the month. Had a good ride on the Harris Yamaha in last year's Grand Prix, but cooked the clutch. He also scored points with a 9th place in France the week prior to that in 1992. So James Whittam very much one of the fancied men in the UK for Grand Prix honours. We of course have 2 full-time 500cc competitors in the Grand Prix at the moment. One of those last year's Super Cup champion, John Reynolds. But McElnay, number 2, closing up on James Whittam. A fallen rider there at Lodge, being treated by the medical staff. Looks like one of the Kawasaki's. Morrison, of course, was going very well. The number 5 of Morrison still appears to be circulating. David Jeffries still hanging on to the tail end of Rob McElnay. Number 2 then in 2nd place. 2 on the bike, 2 in the race. 33 years of age, the yellow flag out for the fallen rider there. Number 34 was Patterson, the fallen rider there. So Jamie Patterson from Belfast, one of the Northern Irish contingent here. We'll give you an update on that as soon as we possibly can. 2nd place, McElnay then. Knee on the tarmac. You can see how the knee goes down almost to feel the rider's weight, like a depth gauge. Second place, McElnay. Whittam will be getting his pit boards. He'll know that Rob McElnay is there. The number 34 rider sitting up, so a bit shaken, but obviously feeling a little bit second-hand. But the first aid facilities here at Oulton Park, first class. Speeds
have hotted up now. The lap times have gone to 1 minute 37, still 2 seconds off the pole position time, but it'll be very difficult for these riders to adjust to the drying conditions. But McElnay appears to have sort of given up, dare I say, and or whether it's that Whittam has actually speeded up, but the pits really control what these riders can see. Of course, there are no mirrors on these machines. They don't know what's happening behind them, and the only way they can know is through their pit signals.
Not the easiest circuit in Great Britain, a very technical, very demanding circuit. As you saw Jamie Whittam there, number 6, almost flirt with the rumble strip, the concrete rumble strip on the exit. Not a good place to be. You need to keep the bike on the tarmac. Over the line again goes Jamie Whittam, down towards Old Hall, and another faller. That looks as though that could even be the Ducati. It looked as though that might have been the number 3 Robert Dunlop, the Ducati. Roger Burnett signalling to me here that it is indeed number 3 Robert Dunlop. So another Ulsterman bites the dust here at Oulton Park, but Robert appeared to be moving freely. The bike looking pretty badly damaged, however. Yes, Robert Dunlop sitting up against the fence, being treated by the medics. A bit rueful, I have no doubt, and a little bit shaken, but all appears to be well with Robert Dunlop. No sense of urgency there. So 30 years of age from Ballymoney, Robert Dunlop's race is over. Tailenders. Waiting now for the race leader. No, another tailender comes over the hill. Jamie Whittam is really piling on the coals, nearly 4 seconds ahead. Race leader then, number 6, Jamie Whittam. Teammate Rob McElnay, number 2, in second place and unable to close that gap. I have to say privately, my money was on Jamie Whittam for this race. He really is in unbeatable form at the start of the 1993 season.
This is on bike with James Whittam again at Druids Corner, and it's on the exit of this corner that Robert Dunlop came to grief on the Ducati there, but he appeared to be perfectly all right. Look at Whittam's hands working, blipping the throttle, pulling the front brake with that right hand, heeling the bike over, knee skimming the tarmac and applying the power all the time to get out of that corner as fast as he possibly can. The bike wriggling and squirming, that indicates to me that he's got a really soft compound tyre as the duration of this race is getting towards the end, but out of the corner he goes. Got to patch that guy now, and this is always a danger for the faster riders, that they've got to encounter the slower guys as they come towards the end of the race. We're now on lap 11 out of 12, and I think McElnay's had it now. He's definitely not going to catch Whittam.
Well, the young Yorkshireman almost throwing caution to the wind, the bike snaking all over the tarmac as Jamie Whittam climbs over the right hand side, throws his body down. You can see how he throws himself, total commitment, into the turn. And of course, the more he's hanging off the bike, the more the bike is upright, which technically means it's a little bit safer on the turn. I mean, everything is relative, I guess, but Whittam now with more tailenders ahead of him. David Jeffries, a fine third place for the number 7 youngster. Hislop still hanging on to 4th. Stringer and Morrison, old adversaries there, in 5th and 6th. But next time round, the 1 lap board will go out for Jamie Whittam. Number 6, the race leader, another tailender ahead of him. Number 30 there being passed is Alan Lloyd from Crowthorne in Berkshire. Having just been given the Whittam treatment, and the 26-year-old from Huddersfield is now on his last lap.
Yeah, I'm almost sure that James Whittam's running a rear intermediate treaded tyre, which would indicate the reason that he was able to get away as he did at the start. The bike seems to have lost a bit of its handling, which would indicate that in fact there's a lot of heat gone into that tyre. It would also indicate the fact that the riders are actually 2 seconds off their fastest times during qualifying. But Jamie Whittam, an excellent performance from him. He stuck his neck out at the beginning of this race, braved the conditions and went for it, so to speak, and it appears to have paid off.
On his way then to 20 points, and there are 2 750cc races in each of the 6 Super Cup rounds this year. So technically speaking, a lot of points up for grabs, but 20 points in his pocket now with just a few hundred yards to go for Jamie Whittam, and he'll be thrilled with this one. Bad news though that Carl Fogarty was unable to give him a fight all the way to the line. I suspect it might have been a different story if the Blackburn rider had not pitched off the Ducati in the first outing. But now it's Whittam. A look over the shoulder tells him that he's got this one well and truly in the bag. In second place, teammate Rob McElnay. David Jeffries, number 7, a brilliant third place for the 20-year-old. And Whittam now, with the line in sight, a massive wheelie. Whittam gets it, and look at the gap. McElnay